Good morning, Atlanta Falcon fans. How is everyone doing? Hey, look it, I got a special guest with me, Mr. Marq Chaney, and we are coming to you this morning talking about our Atlanta Falcons. Mark, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. You have to forgive me. My dog is going crazy. The pollen in Florida is crazy. So you're going to have some weird sounds coming from my way. But other than that, man, like I said, man, super excited to chop it up with you, man. It's been long overdue.
Yeah, man, long overdue indeed, man. So that pollen's pretty bad down there, huh?
Yeah. They're saying it's the worst it's been in Florida in a minute, and I can confirm that news,
Wow.
man. Yeah,
Wow.
and it's funny how you get older, man. I never had issues with pollen growing up. Like
Yep.
people used to always be crying and stuff. I used to be like, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
And then, man, I hit 30, and man, it's been tearing me up. So yeah. Trust me, it's rough down here.
You get older, man, you never know what you're going to have to do with, man. You never know what you're going to have to deal with. It's something. So, wow. Well, I certainly hope you find relief, man. I know my youngest daughter and my wife deal with that. My son deals with it a little bit. My oldest daughter and I guess, are kind of immune to it. I don't know. I got enough challenges. I don't need any more, right? So,
right.
Yeah, man. But let's get into it. We got Jonta Rozier this morning. Good morning, fellas from Nevada. Good morning, Jonta. How you doing? Jonta, how's the weather out there this morning? Is it you guys dealing with pollen like Mark is in Florida? Tell us about it. But okay, Mark, let's get into these Falcons, man. So yesterday they made two moves. One that was a little perplexing, and the other I could understand. So we signed Jordan Fuller. I believe he's going to be the free safety. That'll leave Jesse as the strong. It's probably going to free up Jesse to do whatever he needs to do. And from my understanding, Jordan has played in Raheem's system before, so that makes sense. I'm wondering about the next signing, and that signing was Mr. Felipe Franks, right? And I'm just curious as to what was going through the minds of the Falcons. So Felipe was here. Felipe, of course, was a quarterback in college. Came to the Falcons. Ended up being a tight end. We ended up cutting him. I think he got in maybe one or two plays last year with the Panthers, but why bring him back in your mind's eye? Like, is he just specifically a special teams player, or is he even going to make the roster? Like, give me your thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think he's a lock to make the roster. I think he's a guy you bring in for camp, let him compete. I know he's a guy that, he works hard. He's going to get dirty. He's willing to do what the coaches need him to do. I mean, like you said, he was a quarterback coming into the league. Now he's a tight end. So I think he's just going to be that guy that's going to be bouncing around in camp, and he's going to be there for special teams. He's going to be, like I said, just getting in there, getting dirty. But one thing you heard from Carolina's coaching staff is, they're saying, yo, this guy brings the energy. This guy brings the juice. So maybe that's something that we saw, with his time here. He's just a great teammate, and it just made sense to bring him back and give him an opportunity. But again, I don't think he's a lot to make the team at tight end, make the team at special teams. Just give him an opportunity.
Okay, I mean they say he brings the energy, but he never gets on the. Like, I'm not trying to be funny, but he never gets on the field. Like, what energy? I don't know. Football is a little different than baseball. Like baseball, you got a dugout. It's 20-something guys in there. It's a small confined area. You don't necessarily have to be on the field to contribute energy. I could see that. But football is 53 guys on the sidelines. Coaches probably ends up being 70. I mean, what impact could you have if you never see the field? I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Okay, but whatever. I mean, I don't know. I just don't get this signing. Like, if he's just special teams, okay, I get it, but I don't know. Just it's weird. It's weird. Maybe because I associate him with Arthur Smith. I don't know, but it's weird. Anyway, gotta do some housekeeping. A1 says, fellas, what's good? What's going on? A1 from day one. How you doing, brother? Deshaun says, what's up, guys? Yeet, get some. What up, Deshaun? Creator of the Podcaster Olympics. Here for it. All right, man. So let's get into it, right? Let's get into what we all came to see, right?
But just to stay there for a second, I don't want to overlook, like you said, it is weird. It is weird. My birthday's on April 1st. My birthday's on April Fool's Day. So I'm thinking, am I 32?
We being punked? Is that what this is? Like, I just, bro, I don't get it. I don't, because again, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just gonna say it makes sense as far as value in like a football standpoint, but it doesn't make sense for Terry Fontenot with everything he got going on. He's on a hot seat. It's just weird. It's just like, out of all the depth, all the special team guys you bring back Felipe Franks, a guy that is infamous for the Atlanta Falcons, of a guy that just we just didn't understand how he stayed on the team as long as he did.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you're wrong for scratching your head. Think about it. We scratched our head a lot with Terry Fontenot over these past 5 years. So I just wanted to, just let you know. Trust me, this one is still very odd.
I tell you what happened in the dark corners of my mind, and you should be warned that's a dangerous place. No one should go there. But in the dark corners of my mind, this is what I said to myself yesterday. And I wasn't going to share it with you, but what the hell, man? I'm with Marq Chaney. Let's do it. In the dark corners of my mind, Mark, I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, it's getting ready to get deep, Mark.
Uh-oh.
Maybe Felipe Franks is Weapon X. Maybe. He was a quarterback in college. Maybe you can come in and use him on third and whatever and snap the ball, hand it to him. He throws it. He runs it. He catches it. Like, maybe he is a discount double check Taysom Hill. That now, again, dark corner of my mind. But I just don't see anything special about Felipe Franks as to why you'd re-sign him over anybody else, right?
But that's the thing. I think Terry's always had like this vision, right, where he just sees things that people just can't see. He's just a damn genius. And I agree with you. He's probably thinking this is his Taysom Hill. He came from New Orleans. He's trying to outsmart the league. And this guy's going to end up making the team. Somehow, some way, this guy's going to make the team. So your deep, dark thoughts might come to light. That's
the only thing that I could think of, right? Because I thought about this for a good 45 minutes yesterday, man. And at 54 years old, that's a lot. That's like 2 hours for you, Mark. Like,
right.
45 minutes, my mind, with everything I got going on. But I'm thinking, why would you do it? Like, why? And then, I'm talking to myself, and I said, self, because that's what I say when I'm having conversation with myself. I said, self, listen, we don't have a Taysom Hill, right? And let's look at it. Felipe Franks was a quarterback in college, albeit not a great one, but he was a quarterback. Okay. He tried to be a quarterback when he first came to the Falcons. So he at least does have a concept. I wonder if on certain plays on third and fourth down, if they could kind of make him some sort of makeshift Taysom Hill, contingent upon the formations, right? You bring him in, maybe you're in the wishbone or the eye or whatever. You flex around, you shift guys around. You end up with Penix, Felipe, Bijan in the backfield. You got Kyle Pitts. You got there's a litany of things you can do, right? You hand it off to Felipe. Kyle sneaks out the back. You throw it. Felipe runs it. I'm trying to I'm trying to see the value in him other than just a camp body. And again, it was from the darker corner of my mind. So don't be mad. Okay. But that's just what I came up with. Like, how could we best utilize this guy other than special teams? And that's what I got to thinking. You know what I mean? Like, I would love for the Falcons to have a guy that's like Taysom Hill. He doesn't have to be Taysom, obviously, because people get pissed off. But I'm just thinking it would be great to have like a weapon that could run, throw, catch, and really throw off the defense. You get what I'm saying? Oh, he's in the background. What's he going to do? And you still got Bijan, and you still got Draco, and you know what I mean? So with these assortment of weapons, it would put just uncertainty in the minds of the defender, which is what you want. Look, it 3rd and 1, you got to be on it. If it's a run, you got to be on it. You got to shoot the gap. You got to get to where you need to be. And if you put that little seed of doubt in their minds, sometimes that's all you need, right? So anyway, like I say, dark corner of my mind, doesn't necessarily make sense. It's okay. It was a thought. We got to do some housekeeping. Carrie says, good morning, T-Wil and Marq. Please hit that like button, everyone. Please do. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ramel, Lord, we brought this dumpster juice back. You know what, Ramel? I can't say that. I can agree, but I can't say that. But I understand the sentiment. Let's put it that way. I truly understand the sentiment, which is why, Ramel, I went through this whole dark scenario in my mind because I'm thinking, whatever. Anyway, Marq, let's move on. So let's get to As the Kirk Turns.
Oh Lord.
We're back to As the Kirk Turns. And yesterday, we had 2 reports come out, right? Which one, Carrie, and you know what? Carrie makes me think, right? Like, we love Carrie. Carrie's our producer. She's the greatest producer in the world. And sometimes, Carrie and I, we just have to have discussions. And so we had a discussion last night, right? So here's what happened. Early yesterday afternoon, we got the report that the Falcons could potentially have a 3rd round draft. They have offers from folks calling them from 3rd round draft picks, right? Then late last night, we got a report that the Falcons are desperate. They're calling everybody. They're just trying to do it. They're out back offering to wash cars if people will just take Kirk Cousins. They're desperate. Lordy Jesus, they're desperate. Now, one of these things is not like the other. Somebody's got to be lying here, right? Somebody's got to be lying here. So, before I comment, before I delve into it, I want to get your thoughts. Again, first report, Falcons have guys calling them saying, hey, we'll give you a 3rd round draft pick. And then late last night, no, the Falcons are calling people. Please, they're doing the James Brown. Please take Kirk Cousins. Please, just give us a case of beer. We don't care. Just please.
Right.
Give me your thoughts on this.
Man, is it possible that both can be inaccurate? Is it possible that both are just lies or what the kids say, they capping? I mean, that's what I think. Because I didn't even know about the last report about us being desperate and on the phones. Because if you think about it, in front of the cameras, Terry's made it very clear that, hey, this is going to be our backup quarterback.
There you go.
So, man, I mean, one thing's for sure. When I heard that we could get a 3rd round pick, man, I just feel like it was a complete BS. One, we got to remember, Terry's already finessed the Colts with that Matt Ryan trade. He's already finessed the Cardinals in a sense with the Desmond Ridder trade. Do you think another GM is going to really get finessed again with Kirk Cousins? I mean, why would anybody send a 3rd round pick for a player that was benched, a player that wasn't playing good and has a fat bleep contract? So I think that's BS. But I do think it is more realistic. The Falcons are desperate to try to get something for Kirk before they cut him. So I think we are desperate, regardless of what Terry Fontenot is trying to say. And, he's smiling and saying, hey, yeah, we'll just have an expensive backup. we don't want to bring Kirk Cousins and the drama and the baggage, and like Ramel said, we don't want to bring a big bag of dumpster juice into the training camp. So
oh, that's disgusting. Oh wow,
that's disgusting. It's sick. So and everybody knows it.
Oh, that's just disgusting. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Everybody knows it, T-Wil. Everybody knows it, chat. So, like A1 saying, man, I think both reports can be false. But hey, I'm curious of what you thought, because if you thought about Felipe Franks for 45 minutes, I know you had to get this at least an hour, at least 60 minutes.
Bruh, I was losing sleep up last. So, me, Carrie, and some other Falcon content creators, we all have a chat group. We chat every day. Somebody says something every day, right? So Carrie brought up both. She dropped the first story earlier in the day, and then she dropped that one. And it sparked the conversation. And I said, I just can't see the Falcons being desperate, because if you were so desperate to get rid of him, why pay him the extra $10 million? Why you get what I'm saying? Like your actions. Good morning, John from Out of Your Falcon Mind. What's up? And the morning chop shop. Good morning, John. How you doing, brother? Hope all is well. It didn't make sense to me, right? So here's what I'm thinking, right? Kirk comes out. Terry comes into the after season interview, the first one, and says Kirk's going to be our second string, is going to come off the bench. And then Kirk goes to the Super Bowl, and I wasn't hurt, and I'm going to take my shirt off and get away from me, D-Led, and does all that. And Terry doubles down and says, yep, Kirk's still going to come off our bench. He's still going to be our second string. And then Kirk says, let me see your manager. And Terry comes back and says, yeah, Kirk's still coming off the bench. Terry's been consistent the entire way, right? If you were desperate, you had so much time to get off this ride.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody would have given a seventh round pick for Kirk Cousins. I'm sure they would have. But you didn't. So I don't buy the fact that, and if you were desperate, why pay him? Look, you're caught into the ultimate game of chicken with Kirk and the NFL. Right. Because you're saying to Kirk, your ass is coming off that bench. You sit down and think about what you did, buddy. You disrespected the organization. You get in that corner and sit your ass down, and you're saying to the rest of the league, oh, you don't think we'll keep him? Okay, challenge accepted. Bam. How can you be in that position and be desperate at the same time and be doing the James Brown, please, or Keith Sweat? There you go, telling me no again. There you go. That just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't see it. I think that second story was put out by an probably Kirk or his agent, right? Or an organization that wants to drive the value down. Because at the end of the day, somebody's going to trade for Kirk. I don't care when somebody's going to trade for him. The question is, are you going to give up a 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd round? Right? So if you put this story out that the Falcons are desperate, it devalues Kirk, and maybe it drives the price down. Now, again, the converse of that is true. If you put out the story that the phone's ringing off the hook, maybe it drives the value up. Maybe GMs get desperate. And to your point, maybe both are not true. Maybe both are fictitious accounts designed to either drive up or drive down the stock, right? Either drive up the price or short the stock. One of the two.
Or maybe just start a conversation. It's almost like you make a post, or maybe it's like you update your profile picture on Facebook, right? And this is like, you kind of just want to create some engagement, and now you have people calling, all right, like, y'all gonna cut him, y'all gonna, like, what's really going on, Terry? What's really going on? So, like,
okay,
it could be beneficial, because you're really just trying to start the conversation. Because I don't think anybody in the league thinks that we're going to go into the season with him, and I don't think anyone in the league thinks they're going to trade for him unless we're paying the contract still. So when I first heard about that third, I'm thinking, okay, we got a third. That means we're paying the whole contract still. We're still paying the contract. So I think that's the only way we'll be able to get a higher draft pick if the team comes in, maybe like Cleveland, maybe. You know, they come in, they say, hey, if you pay 80% of what he's due, we'll give you a high pick. You know, but other than that, I don't see how we'll get anything higher than sixth.
The reason I believe it'll be done is because his contract is very short. Like, once you get out of this year, the bulk of the money's in there, right? So, like, everything, the only $100 million is guaranteed. The rest of his contract, you can cut him whenever.
Right.
So if you're another team, you're not really doing that. You're not, even if you pay $25 million, that's on the low end for a quarterback, right? $25 million. Understand, Dak's getting 60. Joe Burrow's getting 55. Lamar's getting 55, 52 something. $25 million is the cheap end. It's the shallow end of the pool. It's almost, I'm not going to say it's the dollar store, but it's like a step above the dollar store for a quarterback. It's like maybe Walmart, right?
Yeah. No, that's
like it's like, you know, instead of getting my TV from Best Buy, I'm going to go to Walmart. And not that you can't get good TVs from Walmart. I've purchased a lot of them. Okay. But what I'm saying is, and that's a bad analogy, but the bottom line is, from a price perspective, $25 million is not a lot for a quarterback, right? The next quarterback, the next very good quarterback who gets a contract will be for at least $65 million, if not 70, right? If Dak got 62, then the next step is 65 to 70, right? So 25 is at the shallow end of the pool. You're still getting a great deal. And the next year is even less. So you got to look at the contract in the years. It's not like it's a 7-year deal. If you get him and he sucks, you can cut him next year. Get him out of here. And he's only guaranteed $10 million or whatever for that next year. That's the beauty of the contract. Even though it was $180 million, it was really only $100 million because that's all that was guaranteed, right? So, with that being said, I do believe somebody will trade for him because there is a dearth or a lack of quarterback talent that's available now. You got Aaron Rodgers, who's basically done, washed up. He doesn't know it yet, but he's done. Okay. You got Russell, I'm too good for everybody, Wilson, who, you know, you look at, I'm not trying to criticize him, but he clearly rubs people the wrong way.
I am curious, though, why do you think that no one traded for Russ, but then a team will trade for Kirk? And especially considering the Falcons could have traded for Russell.
Russell wasn't to Atlanta because of the whole future thing. Russell was not. You got to think that's future's baby mama, and the Atlanta fans are ruthless when you piss them off. So the first time Russell threw an interception, boy, you was gonna hear future. You was gonna hear like that. You was gonna hear you was gonna hear it. You was gonna hear it.
But so I agree. He wasn't going to come to Atlanta, but still, I think last year we saw what teams are going to have to do, and I think when Denver cut Russell Wilson, that kind of set up how it's going to be played going forward. Yeah. You know, if you're going to move off from one of these quarterbacks, you're going to have to get rid of them because no one's trading for that contract. No one's trading for the contract. Granted, like you said, it's a short-term contract. It's essentially a 1-year contract if someone traded for him.
Yeah.
But I just don't believe that. And it's funny because a lot of people are saying they think there's a market for him. Experts. There's a lot of people. I just don't see it.
I do see it, sir. So let's take a look at who's available, right? Free agent.
And again, I'm not saying that no one will want. I mean that no one doesn't want Kirk on their team, but would they trade assets and pay his contract and give him a starting position? Man, I just think that's a lot for a player that, just came off of, a poor season, essentially.
Oh no, I get it, but let's just take a look at this. Just give me 1 sec, and let's take a look at this spectacular list of contracts of quarterbacks that are available. Are you ready? So we have Milton Williams. Never heard of him. Me neither. We have Sam Darnold. Okay, he's all right. We have Will Fries. We have Dan Moore. Who the hell are these people? Wait a minute. Let me go. Hold up. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
let me go to quarterbacks. Let me go to quarterbacks. I was like, hold on. That's
and make sure you address it to available.
These guys are available. These guys are available. They're free agent. Yeah, it's available right there.
No. Yeah, press that little tab, that available tab up there. Yeah. All right. So these are the guys that is in the shopping cart.
You got Aaron Rodgers, yuck. You got Trey Lance. You got Drew Lock. You got Joe Flacco. Jameis, I still crab legs Winston. Carson.
Well, let me ask you this.
Let's
stay at the top. If Aaron Rodgers got cut, all right, well, who do you think had more of a market? Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins?
Aaron Rodgers gets coaches fired. It'd have to be Kirk Cousins. Okay. Aaron Rodgers is a first ballot Hall of Famer, okay? But that Aaron Rodgers no longer plays football. The guy that plays football now thinks more of himself than anybody else. Thinks he's better than what he actually is. No longer has it. Wants to run organizations. Doesn't want to listen to anybody. Gets coaches fired. Is a locker room cancer. Who's going to want Aaron Rodgers? Not me.
But to me, Kirk is in that same boat.
No, Kirk, okay. Kirk can still make plays. Kirk was just injured. I really believe because up until that New Orleans game, Kirk was just fine. We were 6-3. So I believe, and here's what's going on. You understand, you come off of a Achilles injury. There are two things that have to heal. Number one, your body. Number two, your mind. He didn't have his legs fully up under him. That's why they didn't do any play action in the first game and why, they kind of brought him along, right? And as soon as he really starts to feel normal, then that shoulder and that elbow gets hurt. And now, whereas you had your legs underneath you, he didn't have them because he was still healing from the Achilles injury. So your legs aren't under you to make the throw. Now it's all arm. And if your shoulder's hurt, you don't have any velocity in it, which was what was going on. Now,
right.
Do I think he's healed now? Yeah, I think he'll be okay. Because, again, coming up this season, he'll be 2 years off the Achilles. And his arm and his shoulder his shoulder and his elbow will have had time to heal. And before this, Kirk was pretty much guaranteed 3,800 yards a season. So I very much think at this point, not in history, not of all time, but at this point, Kirk is a better quarterback and a better selection than Aaron Rodgers because Kirk is not necessarily trying to get folks fired. Kirk is trying to have his way. Aaron wants to take over. Aaron wants to get coaches fired. Aaron wants to make personnel decisions. Aaron wants to take over your organization, and he's not worth that.
Well, I guess my only point was, because I agree with everything you said, honestly. It's just the fact that there's no real rush to go get an Aaron Rodgers, and there's no real rush to go get a Kirk Cousins. And I think that's kind of what the dilemma where the Falcons are in, where it's like they keep saying we're going to go into training camp. We're going to go into the season with him on the roster. And I just don't think that's beneficial. So it's kind of like I think Kirk would be best suited to be traded, during the season, like the Falcons probably want to do, right? Wait till quarterback gets injured and then trade him. But that doesn't make sense for the Falcons at the same time. Why would you go into camp with Kirk Cousins? So it's just like it's just this weird I mean, like we talked about earlier, it's this game of chicken that we're almost just playing with ourselves.
Yeah, it's a match. It's a death match.
And that's why I think we'll end up just cutting him, because it's just like everybody knows that there's no point of trading for him.
You can't cut him. You can't cut him. You cannot. Look, you're all in now. All right? If you were going to cut him, you should have did that before last Saturday when you paid him the $10 million. If you cut him now, you look weak. You have to be committed. Here's how this might play out. The Falcons may keep him, and Kirk may just not show up. He may sit at home because he doesn't want to face that, and that's fine. We'll fine him. That's fine. We'll get the money. Look, at the end of the day, sometimes, and this is going to sound so stupid, and I hear my wife in my head going, "You're such an idiot." But you know what, Kim? I'm going to say it anyway. Okay? Sometimes I feel like the honeymooners when Ralph is like, you know what, Alice? You know what? Sometimes you just got to draw a line in the sand and dare a person to come over it. Like, I feel like, look, man, you're in a game of chicken now, right? You're locked in. You've committed. You've pushed all your chips to the middle. You gotta stay with this. Wherever it goes, right? It's like Al Pacino said in Carlito's Way. We're at the end of the line now. And I'm here with them. And it goes where it goes. When you can no longer see the angles, baby. I don't know, whatever. I messed up the line. But anyway, point is, his best friend had tried to kill the guy because he double-crossed him and took his money for the mob and tricked Al Pacino into coming on the boat. And now it's like, damn, I'm here with you. Wherever this goes, it goes. We're here now. We are in a death match with the NFL. We're in a death match with Kirk Cousins. And let's see who's going to prevail. I'm here for it. Look, you signed him. It's really turned out bad, but bad because of the way Kirk handled it. Because if Kirk could have handled it gracefully, you still get your money, right? You still get your money. If I'm Kirk, this is how I would have played it. I would have just sat down. I wouldn't have said anything. I would have sat for a year. And then at the end of next year, I'd have been like, hey, can you guys just trade me? I wouldn't have said anything. Kirk has caused a lot of drama. I wouldn't have said anything. I would have just said, hey, man, I understand we are where we are this year. Can you guys just, if it's there, can you trade me? If not, can we work something out towards the end of the year? That's what I would have done. He didn't. It's morphed into this. But if you're the Falcons, the league has to think that you're committed. The league has to think that you're willing to let Kirk sit on his keister for the entirety of 2025 and find his ass. And Kirk has to think that too. Because when you come to him with this trade, he's got a no trade clause. He's got to be like, look, I don't have a choice. At least I got a chance to start. Okay, here I go. Kirk has to think you'll let him sit too. You can't be weak. And if you were going to cut him, wouldn't you have cut him before the 17th?
I mean,
you'd have saved $10 million. If you were going to cut him anyway, why pay him the $10 million?
If I'm not mistaken, I think he was due that regardless.
No. If you would have cut him before the 17th, he wasn't going to get that from you. He wasn't going to get that.
Really?
So, really.
I just don't, because it was 100 guaranteed. So the 100 is guaranteed. So I just feel like that part of it is confusing people. And I may be confused. If anyone's in the chat, please bring the facts. But I really felt like he was going to get that $10 million regardless. Because that $10 million, it's not against the cap this season. That's for next season.
Look, everything that's been reported, and look, if you have knowledge of it in the chat, please do. But everything that's been reported has been reported that if the Falcons could save $10 million, if they cut him before the 17th. I don't know the details. We can look that up.
I don't think it was about cutting him. It was about trying to trade him. You know, the next team would have had to take on that $10 million, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, I agree. If you're going to cut him, you probably should have already done it. You know,
yeah,
but
that's where I am with it, right? Like you've committed to this line. You have committed to this. If you could have cut him in January, you could have cut him. We are in March now. We're damn near April. You cannot cut him now. You have committed of this game of chicken, this game of death match. You cannot cut him. You have to go wherever this goes. And guess what? It's not for the weak. It's not for the faint of heart. Okay? You're probably going to hear stuff about Kirk Cousins every day, and people are sick of hearing it. And I get it, and I understand it, but at the end of the day, it's about the name on the front. And sometimes you have to be committed, and you have to see a thing to the end, right? You gotta finish it. And sometimes it gets ugly, but it is what it is. We got to do some housekeeping. Birdcage, Ryan the historian says, morning, fellas. Ryan, great interview the other day with Steve Weish. Great interview, Ryan. Mm-hmm. Great interview. You did a great job. You were awesome, sir. I got to give you your props. Awesome. And Ryan has a series where he's talking to his fans in the car and they're rapping with it. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty creative. So shout out to Ryan at the Birdcage, man. If you haven't checked out his show, please do. Very creative, very passionate young man. Knows what he's doing and is very fun to watch. Got to give him his props. Travis says, we were hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run them up. We didn't land on bad Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins landed on us, damn it. Well, he didn't say that, but that's where he was going. My buddy John from Out of Your Falcon Mind. Think of the shittiest QBs in the league, and they're still amongst the best in the world. Somebody will take them. Just got to believe, Mark. Just got to believe. MW, the franchise player. What's good, y'all? Rise up. So let's go and look at this amazing list, Mark, because this is what started all of this. So we got Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance, Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, Jameis Carson, Case, Easton Stick. Sounds like a fighter from Mortal Kombat. Josh Johnson, Teddy Bridgewater, CJ Beathard, Russell Wilson, Tim Boyle. Sounds like a villain from Batman. Tyler Huntley, Brett Ripien. Brett Ripien sounds like your next serial killer. I'm just saying. Jeff Driscoll, Desmond Ritter, and Sam Ritter. I love Desmond Ritter. Shout out to Uncle Steve. I love Desmond Ritter. Sam Ellinger. I mean, really, is there anybody on this list that inspires confidence, Mark? No. This is why there's a market for Kirk Cousins.
But all these guys wouldn't take a draft pick, though. And they wouldn't take
They're not worth a draft pick. They're not worth a draft pick.
And I don't think Kirk Cousins is. I do not think Kirk Cousins is. All right, so you know I'm a real estate agent. I'm all about leverage and negotiation and this and that. And when I look at this deal,
okay,
it doesn't make sense because of what's going on inside the house. Like, so like, yes, like there's someone that could get it and get Kirk and win games. I'm not saying that he can't win your games, but what I'm saying is he worth trading for, making your starter? Because when you trade for him, now he's your starter. You know, then you have to pay him, unless the Falcons pay the contract. You know, didn't make sense. But then why would the Falcons pay the contract? You know, are we really willing to take that 5th round pick and pay the contract? Now, I will say this, though. If a team's willing to give us a 3rd and we got to pay that contract, man, you better be running through the door to make that deal done. And we can get an asset for Kurt, and all we have to do is just pay the money that we're going to pay him regardless. I'm all for it. But I don't think a team's willing to give us that much. I just don't. Not right now. They're going to wait and see what we do all the way up into maybe after the draft. All right. Let me ask you this then, because I know you think there's a market for him. Do you think that a team would trade for him before the draft? Or do you think this is something that happens after the draft?
I could see a team trading for him before the draft, right? So your top 3 teams that are in the draft all need quarterbacks.
Right.
There are really only 2 that I could see drafting a quarterback at that number 1 pick, which means somebody's going to be without a dance partner. And say what you will about Aaron Rodgers, I don't think if I were a GM, I wouldn't touch Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't touch Aaron Rodgers with a 10-foot pole on top of a 10-foot pole, on top of a 50-foot pole, on top of a barrier, on top of a border, on top of the wall blocking Mexico from us. I would not go near him. He is a cancer in a locker room. He is a know-it-all. He's going to demand that you what's the guy he's so in love with that he wants to be the head coach, that is his offensive coordinator. He's going to demand that you hire him. He's going to want personnel decisions. He's going to demand that you go and get his boys. I don't want to go near him. Now, the Giants are stupid. I'll give you that. And I apologize to Giants fans. It's not your fault, but they're just stupid because they gave Daniel Jones $40 million and they let Saquon go. You're idiots, Giants. So maybe they do it. Maybe they do it. But I don't see how they do it because you got to get this right, Giants. The Eagles just won the Super Bowl. You look like navel neck Giants. You look like cannon fodder for foot juice. You look like the debris between toenails. You look bad, Giants. You let Saquon go to a division rival and they won a Super Bowl. You could not look like bigger assholes if you tried. So now you're going to double down on that and sign Aaron Rodgers? You're going to double down on that and sign Death to Smoochie for your organization? Get out of here, man. I'll believe it when I see it. They're stupid enough to do it. Okay? But it's not a lot of talent out here. You know, it's not. You got Aaron Rodgers and the rest are backups, except for Russell Wilson, who also is not a cancer, but is not really well loved in most NFL locker rooms. You know what I mean? Can you have some? I want Perrier in my water. Can you bring me Perrier? Thank you. I appreciate it. Russell, somebody's here to see you. I'm having my nails done. I mean, that's kind of the impression that's been put out there about him. Fair or not, I don't know. I don't know Russell. Russell could be a great guy. Russell probably is a great guy, but he's off-putting. So you got 2 choices. You got Captain Asshole, who's a cancer in the locker room and going to do your job for you and going to replace your coaching staff and replace your receivers with guys that he likes. And you're not going to win anyway because he's past it. Or you got Captain Elitist here, Russell Wilson, who comes across as if he's better than everybody else. I mean, I don't know, right? These are your choices. You mean to tell one thing about Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins is a manipulator. He knows how to work his way and Kirko chains his way into the hearts of fans. He did it in Minnesota. He did it in Atlanta. He'll do it wherever he goes to his next stop. So if he goes to New York, guess what? He's going to be like, I'm all New York. I'm Kirk Cousins. I'm New York now. Forget about it. I'm Kirk Cousins. You know, I'm America's dad. It's me. He'll do it. He's a chameleon. You could make it work. I'm saying. All right? I'm saying. I mean, I'd take Russ over Kirk too, but that ain't saying a lot, Jonathan. I'd take Russ over Kirk.
But Russ is free. Bro, you don't have to trade for Russ.
Then why hasn't anybody signed him? If Russ is so great, why hasn't anyone signed him?
That's what I'm saying. I think Kirk is in that same bubble where it's like, okay, he's a guy, but I'm in no rush to sign him. Like, I'm in no rush to bring him in before the draft.
That could be true.
I'm
not going to say it's not. That could be true, but it could also be true that teams are like, I know they're going to cut him. I know they're going to cut him. They're not going to keep shit. They paid him the $10 million. Are you serious? What the? They paid him the $10 million, and the rest of us are here just like, this is a great movie. Oh, this is great. If it wasn't the fact that this was our franchise, this movie would be even better. but it's still a great movie.
But I just think that is my point. There's this whole idea, the Falcons are going to try to trade Kirk Cousins. And then, boom, Saturday comes, oh, my gosh, the Falcons couldn't trade Kirk Cousins? Yes, because there's no market for him. Y'all are making up stuff. Everyone is being delusional. There is
a market for him based on what we're looking at. Look at it, Mark. Look at this. Are you telling me that any NFL franchise – there are two guys.
No, there's not a market yet, is what I'm saying. Like, yes, after the draft, closer to the season, when you know what you got, maybe a guy gets injured, okay, boom. But I'm saying right now, why help the Falcons out by trading for him? Kirk Cousins should not trade any team's draft plans. Like, that would be very ignorant. That's exactly what the Falcons did last season. We looked at Kirk Cousins and said, oh, my God, he's the best thing on the market. And now, look, basically a year later, we look foolish. And I think a lot of teams are a lot smarter than the Falcons, and they're not going to rush out. Now, could he be traded? Yes, but just not yet, y'all. Come on now. It's so obvious.
I don't know, man. You know what? It's a great debate, Mark. We've been talking about this for 45 minutes, and I think it's great. And I want to talk about it for 45 more, damn it. Like, I think it's great. We got to do some housekeeping. Out of your Falcon mind, my guy John says maybe a draft night trade, and it could be. Auntie Pam. Hey, Auntie Pam. Good morning. Hello, Terry and Mark and everyone in the chat. Happy Thursday. MW, the franchise. I'd be shocked if Kirk is a Falcon by May. Fair. Wow. Jonta Rozier says, I'll take Russ over Kirk. Fair. Jonta says, T-Wil, if we would have taken Russ over Kirk last year, we wouldn't be in the situation with Kirk. Yeah, I get it, Jonta, but Russ wasn't coming here. He just Russ wasn't coming here. He was not. I think they have a restraining order against Future. I could be wrong. You know what? Let me shut up. I don't know that. I don't want to get sued. I don't know that. I don't know. So forget that. I don't know if they have a restraining order against Future. I do know that from what I've read, their relationship is not the best. I'll put it that way. Okay. I think I can safely say that their relationship is not the best. So, and this being Atlanta, the home of Future, I don't think Russ would come here. I just don't. Yeah. And I'll leave it at that. I will leave it at that. But yeah, looking at the dearth of talent that's here, I think there's very much a market for Kirk Cousins. To your point, Mark, it may not have materialized as of yet. It may not have materialized. But I think there's a market for him. Because again, quarterback is the most important position on the board. You know what I mean? If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win. If you do not have a quarterback, you're not going to win, right? So, hey.
But so in your opinion, because I agree, like he's valuable, and I think that's why Terry's keeping on to him. He knows that he's a valuable asset. You can get something. Something like cap relief. You can get something for him. I mean, you got something for Desmond Ridder. You got something for Matt Ryan at the end of his career. Terry, he knows what he's trying to do, right? So I'm not gonna say like, "Oh, Terry, you don't know what you're doing." But what I will say is, but what I will say is, my gosh, sorry, this phone call made me completely lose my train of thought.
It's so good, man.
But all I want to say is this. Again, I may be, saying the same thing again, but I just don't think there's a market for him yet. And it may take an Aaron Rodgers or one of these guys signing first for it to be clear. Oh, I think that's what I was going to ask you. What team do you think would need him? like I know you talked about the top teams in the draft. Out of those teams, like why would you think they would get Kirk Cousins?
All right, let's look at the NFL draft order. And we got Maggie T in the chat. Good morning, Maggie T. Hope all is well. NFL draft order. NFL.com. All right, so we got the Titans, the Browns, the Giants. They all need a quarterback.
The Titans, come on now. The Titans, that makes absolutely no sense. I mean, but then again, anything can happen. Maybe they trade back. They trade back, get some more picks, and then now they can, they could be real flexible. Because but they had the young quarterback though. They have what's his name? Man, my mind's going blank. But
Will Levis.
Yeah, Will Levis. They have Will Levis.
They don't want him.
But that's what I'm saying.
I've heard rumors that they could trade him for Kirk Cousins, and pick. But if you do that, you're kind of right back where you started. If you're Kirk, I don't know that Kirk would necessarily approve that, or it could be. If they trade him for Kirk Cousins and they don't pick a quarterback, you get what I'm saying? Like, in other words, if they trade Will Levis to us, who would automatically be our number 2 backup, right? Mm-hmm. And we send them Kirk Cousins, there could be no draft picks involved, but Kirk Cousins is off our books, right? And then they could go and pick a defender or pick another position of need if you're the Titans, right? Now, Cleveland has the number 2 pick. Cleveland also has Kevin Stefanski as their head coach. He has a relationship with Kirk Cousins. So Cleveland could very well be motivated. And what you could do with that is you could package Kirk and Tyler Algier. You could send them to Cleveland, and maybe they send you back Myles Garrett. Maybe not. Maybe they send you back a number 2 pick, a number 2, 3, and 4 pick. Like there are things that you could do. In other words, to do that, Cleveland doesn't necessarily have to pick quarterback either. The Giants are stupid. I mean, whatever. I have no faith in them as an organization because they make dumb decisions. They make unilaterally dumb decisions. So I totally believe that you could trade with either one of these 3 top teams. It doesn't necessarily have to be for the first round pick. What if they take a look at Shedeur and Cam and they don't necessarily want them? Now, from what Scott Karisic was saying, and I respect Scott was saying that the Giants love Cam Ward. I believe it when I see it. But he was saying that they love Cam Ward, and I do respect Scott's opinion. Scott does he when he says something, it's usually true. So I'll give him that. I'll give him credit for that. But that's the Giants. That still leaves you Tennessee and Cleveland. And I don't know that they have plans with Shedeur. So it's not as open and shut as you think it would be. There could very well be a draft day deal.
So do you think when Myles Garrett was in his contract dispute, they were told, hey, we're going to go out here and get a veteran quarterback. We're going to try to win now. And that guy's going to be Kirk Cousins. And that because after he got signed, I don't know if you saw, but they asked, hey, who do you think the quarterback's going to be? And he basically alluded to the point that he knows who the guy's going to be. And that's why he's re-signed. And he can't tell us who it's going to be, but he's excited. And maybe you can only be so sure who it's going to be is if it's a veteran quarterback. It's going to be hard unless you had the first pick.
It could be.
So Cleveland, to your point, out of all the teams in the league, I feel like Cleveland does make the most sense, like you said, with their head coach.
Yep.
So how do you think that would be positioned? They would bring in Kirk and still draft a quarterback? Or, are they going all in with Kirk And I guess that's just where I'm at. Like, why would the team go all in with Kirk Cousins? The Falcons just did that last season.
Well, the only reason you go all in with Kirk is if you took a look at the quarterback that was going to fall to you and you said, I don't know. I don't know. I'd rather – I know Kirk, right? Because if you're Kevin Stefanski, you know Kirk. You know him well. You've worked with him. You know what he does. You know what he does do well and what he doesn't do well. Zach Robinson was a new offensive coordinator right now, and I will give you that. I think if Kirk had been healthy, I think maybe we start off 8-1, 7-2, maybe. Right? Look, all you needed was a touchdown in that first game. You couldn't do it. And no disrespect to the Steelers defense, but Kirk clearly was not ready, right? So, again, whatever. I'm just saying I think Stefanski could probably get more out of Kirk than Zach Robinson would because he knows him. He's worked with him. He's a decent offensive mind. I think that. Now, if you think that, maybe Stefanski takes a look at, Shedeur and Cam, and he's like, I need to win now. It's probably going to take me 2 years to get this quarterback where we need him to be. I'd rather just go with Kirk. I'm just throwing out. I'm spitballing here. I'm giving you the thought process behind that, right? But if you were going to trade, you're not going to sign Algier in 2026. So maybe you sweeten the deal by adding him and Kirk, and maybe you get three picks. Maybe you get a second, a third, and a fourth. Now you can go and get your needs, right? You can draft a running back. No, he's not going to be Tyler, but let's be real. You only got Tyler for another year anyway. Tyler's not going to resign here. I promise you. Tyler Algier is not going to resign here when he can go someone else and be the man, right? This is Bijan's house. Whose house? Bijan's house. It's Bijan's house. It's no longer Run's house. That's a very old song by Run DMC. But it's Bijan's house. Okay? So if you're Tyler, right, you are the Michael Turner to Bijan's Ladarian Thomas, right? That's who you are, right? You're ready to break out, right? I'm coming out. Okay, I won't do that again. But you're ready to break out, right? You're ready for the world to see. You're ready to let the world know, look, I'm him. I'm Himothy, damn it. I'm ready to run this rock, okay, for 1,400 yards. Let's go. I'm Tyler Algier, damn it. You're not going to re-sign with the Falcons. So if you're not going to re-sign with the Falcons, why not just package him with the deal where he can help you this year? Because unless you think you can win a Super Bowl this year, why keep Tyler? You got weapons. You got Bijan. You can pass. You can do whatever you want to do. Or you could, if you didn't want to do Algier, you could send him Kyle Pitts.
Oh, yeah, sure. We got plenty of trade pieces.
You can send, right. So it doesn't, what I'm saying is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a 2-team trade. What if you open it up to a 3-team trade? And you end up with 5 picks, right? It could happen. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it will definitively happen, but it could happen. Will it? I don't know. But I commend Terry Fontenot for having the stones, the cojones, to see this thing through. I do. I'm proud of him. Good for you. In this day and age of fast-ass, slick-ass, fast food, let me speak to your manager, get what I want done, because it's not worth dealing with an angry customer anyway. Let me just give it to you. I applaud him for saying, you know what, Kirk, you sit your ass down in that corner and we'll get back to you. And you got 2 choices, Kirk, nothing and like it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think America would be a better country, okay, if more parents did this instead of just take this damn iPad and go sit down. I don't want to hear your mess anymore.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta be there for the discipline. So look, I'm here for it. I don't know what they're gonna do, but the Falcons have options. It's funny how the media will put stuff out like there's no hope. No, all you gotta do. there's no hope for this list. There's no hope for these quarterbacks on this list, okay? This is what I will give you. If this list were better, if you had better candidates on this list, then fine. I would say you're right. There's no market for Kirk. But most of the guys, with the exception of 2 on this list, will never be starting material. They're just not. They're backups, and at least one of these guys is a backup and doesn't know it, and that's Aaron Rodgers. So really, you got one starter on this list. That's Russell Wilson. And he comes with his own special brand of issues.
But I think it's so interesting how Kirk Cousins is a backup on the Atlanta Falcons roster, but all of a sudden he's a starter somewhere else. I just think he's kind of where he's at. Like, he can be a starter. He's more like a bridge quarterback right now. And, the Falcons, man, we just have our hands tied. I hope we trade him. I hope we get something for him. I mean, man, I applauded Terry last season when we were able to get something for Desmond Ridder. I mean, that was incredible. Unfortunately, we ended up still getting nothing. Rondale Moore played 0 snaps for us, but still, we still at least we didn't cut him, right?
That was like God saying, "Now, Terry Fontenot, you know better than that. Let me, you know better than that. Why did you fleece those Cardinals for this? You know what? No, Rondale's not going to play this year. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, man. Hey, but man, I think that's what I do want to talk about before we get out of here, though, is the Terry Fontenot, though. Like you said, with Tyler Algier, you probably should move him, bro. You probably should have moved Grady before you had to cut him. Kyle Pitts, you probably should move him. So it's going to be interesting to see what we can do. I mean, we just saw Richard Grant. He walked. He's in San Fran, for nothing. He was a second-round pick. You got Troy Anderson. He's a guy coming up. We ain't even got nothing out of him. We'll have to let him walk. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do this offseason with a lot of these names, because the time to move them is now. And I think probably the guy that has the most value, it has to be Tyler Algier.
It would have to be. Really, if you moved him, you'd be doing him a favor, because if you trade him, he's probably going to be a feature back wherever he's going, right?
He has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he's too good. He's too good to get 2-3 carries in a game. So I really feel like you said, we have some options. This will be real interesting to see how this plays out, because it's still just March. It's still so much time. But overall, though, I know that I've talked about this in the chat and in your chat, a couple different chats, but I'm not too impressed with this all season. I'm not too impressed with Terry. Do you like Terry Fontenot, Terry? Do you like him, T-Will? We had this conversation real quick.
He's my namesake, man. I don't.
Do you believe in him? I should say. Forget liking him. Who cares if you like him? Do you believe in him?
Damn. I did not know you were going to ask me this question, Mark. Jesus, I would have had my bullshit answer ready. Let's see.
No, but it brought it up when you were talking about packaging Algier and Kyle Pitts. It reminds me, oh my God, these are all the people that he drafted. These are all the people he brought in.
Algier, look at Algier's been good. Okay, Bijan has been good. Drake has been good. Kyle, probably shouldn't have taken him at 4. Probably should have taken Jamar Chase. I'm not, whatever. But I don't. Terry in the first round has been money. Where Terry has come up short has been in the subsequent rounds. So, your second round picks, not so great. But look it. Terry's not just draft picks, but Terry signed some decent free agents. Like, it's not just draft picks that a GM is responsible for. Let's look at the total picture. The free agents that Terry has signed have been pretty good. Caden Ellis has been great, right? David Onyemata has been decent when healthy. He's he's been decent, right? Jesse Bates has been otherworldly. So if we just expound it beyond the second round of the draft, I'm okay with Terry. Could he have performed better? Sure. Does he need to be better in the second round? Sure. But if we look at the total package, right, he doesn't really miss on free agents. He doesn't miss on first rounds. Probably needs to get better on the second and third or whatever. He doesn't miss on free agents. I'm okay with Terry. And look at Terry's on the who ride for Terry. Like Terry's on the who ride for Terry. Terry's on the hot seat. There's no doubt about it. Terry's, they got to win this year, regardless as to what happens. Terry has to win this year. Bottom line, he's got to win. If he does not win, he's out of there, like last year's swimwear. So he's on the hot seat. And I know that he's probably going to have to do some things this year that are unconventional because he has to win, right? I'm okay with trading Tyler Algier.
Yeah.
Because all you got to do is read the tea leaves. Tyler is not going to be bad. And I think Tyler's great. And if you could keep him, it'd be good. I would prefer you keep Tyler because I don't want to run Bijan into the ground, right? All you got to do is look at Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith was great. I'm not Emmitt Smith. I'm sorry. What's the kid's name? Dallas. Started 5-6 years ago. A shell of himself now. Running back.
Are you talking about Zeke?
Zeke was great 6 years ago.
Yeah.
They ran him into the ground, right? I don't want to do that to Bijan. So you need a complimentary number two. Unfortunately, contracts being where they are, the situation being where the Falcons are not going to sign Tyler. And if you were Tyler and you could go somewhere else and be a starter, why wouldn't you? Right. If it's the same money, probably more money, you go somewhere else, why wouldn't you, right? So he's not going to resign in 2026. I don't see that happening. Being aware of that, I don't have an issue with you trading him in 2025. Now, the thing you could look at it, okay, but Tyler is insurance in case something happens. So if it's me, I'd rather trade Pitts. You
then are going to trade all of them.
No, I wouldn't do that. I would not trade all of them. Now, whether or not you sign Kyle, that I don't know.
Right.
I don't know because the difference between Kyle and Tyler is Kyle has not necessarily performed. Fair or not, Kyle has not necessarily performed. So if you're looking at the benchmark for Kyle's contract and the benchmark for Tyler Algier's contract, it's totally different. You took carries away from Tyler. You can explain that. Kyle's been on the field. So
I said, has he though? I mean, my God.
I mean, hey, look it. If you're asking me who'd be more expensive, for me it'd be Tyler.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For me it'd be Tyler. So, again, you could trade Tyler. You could probably re-sign Kyle, maybe on a prove-it deal. You could re-sign him for something that's reasonable, right? Now, could another team come and sweep him away? Of course. But, that's why these GMs get paid the big bucks. If it's me and Cleveland wants him and they're going to send me 4 draft picks, let's say they send me a number 3, 2 4s, and a 5.
For who?
Kirk and Tyler.
Oh, yeah. Man, that's a no-brainer.
Then yeah, I'm all over it. See, I think people you can't look at this as just we're going to trade Kirk Cousins. If you're looking at this, you got to look at it as we're going to trade Kirk Cousins and who, right? Maybe you look at it that way. To your point, maybe you package Troy Anderson, although Troy can't stay healthy. Look, you can't make the club from the tub. So Troy can't stay healthy. I don't know that he would fetch that much, right? But, if you were sending them, again, Tyler and Kirk and maybe Troy. I don't know that they need Troy, whatever. But I'm just saying, you would probably fetch more. Or let's say maybe you open it up to a 3-team trade, right?
There's no three-team trades in the NFL, Terry.
There've been okay, they're rare, but they do happen. They are rare, but they do happen. You say what?
No, I was saying, yeah, that's all I'm saying. They're rare.
Look it. I'm going into my BS bag here. I will admit that. Okay, I'm going into my bag of tricks and throwing it out there. But you could have a 3-team deal, and let's say you do it. Let's say that one team walks away with Kirk and somebody from a third team. That third team gets Tyler, and the Falcons walk away with 5 draft picks. I'm all over it.
Yeah,
I'm all over it. You weren't going to sign Tyler anyway. You can probably draft Tyler's replacement.
Yeah, because he was
You said what?
I said, yeah. Well, he was a 5th round pick. So I mean, if you can get a 4th for him, I mean, that's a win.
No, I think you get more for Tyler than you would for Kirk because Tyler's performed. I think you could get a 3rd round pick for Tyler.
But it's his position though. He's a running back, so it's like that kind of hurts his value, even though he's a good running back.
Yeah.
Okay,
maybe a 4th.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, you could use that 4th on a young running back and run him to the ground just the same. So
yeah, I mean, if you could walk away with that for, let's say, 3 additional picks this year, maybe a 3rd and 2 4th rounders, or even better, 2 3rds and a 4th. But let's say a 3rd and 2 4th rounders. Then on draft day, you trade down for an additional 2nd round and an additional 3rd or 4th. Now that's essentially 5 more guys that you can pick. That hopefully of those 5, 3 can start, because you got to replace a lot of positions. That's ultimately, and Penix is going to end up being your starter anyway. Now you just got to look at, okay, who's going to be the backup. But you know what I mean? There are my point. The entire point of this dialogue is the Falcons do have options. It's not as hopeless as the media makes it out to be. It's not. Right? You get it's not. Now, is it probable? That I don't know. I can't tell you the probability of it because I don't know all the variables. I don't know all the angles. But I do know that there is a serious dearth or lack of quarterback talent that's out there to sign. So knowing that tells me that increases Kirk's odds of being traded. If this were a year where you had like a bunch of really good quarterbacks that were on the free agent market, which never happens because if you have a good quarterback, he's not going to make it to free agency, right? But anyway, just in this mythical universe, if there was that much talent, right, then I would say, no, there's not a market for Kirk. You can release him. The talent that's out there is not very good. They're all retreads or never has-beens.
Right. And I think that's just where we're at. I think that there isn't that much of a market, and that's why we've heard the tone that we're going to keep him. Because even if we cut him or even if we trade him, well, now we got to dip right back into that same pool to find a backup. And who are we going to bring in? Desmond Ridder. People have been saying Jameis Winston. If you're going to do all that, you're damn near might as well just keep Kirk. Now, will Kirk show up? I think that's a whole different conversation. And I think that's just when this whole situation gets so messy.
Maybe you draft another quarterback.
Yeah.
Maybe you draft another quarterback,
Yeah. And again, that goes back to my question to you is like, man, I hate to say it. I just don't believe in Terry, man.
I get it. I understand. And that's fair.
Yeah,
I believe in him. I do. I believe in him. Now, ultimately, what the end result will be, I mean, we just got to sit back and watch. But I believe in him. I believe in him. I believe in Raheem. I think sometimes you have to grow into a role, right? Everybody who goes into a role isn't great right away. Mm-hmm. Isn't great right? Peyton Manning was garbage his first year. Trash his first year. And he ended up being one of I would say that Peyton Manning is the best quarterback at reading defenses walking to the line, with the exception of the GOAT, Mr. Tom Brady. But Peyton Manning, when he walked up to the line and looked at the defense, he knew what you were going to do. He knew what you were going to do. That first year he sucked, right? So sometimes people have to grow into a role. Bill Belichick was terrible in Cleveland. He was awful. And then he went to New England, and the rest is history. So sometimes you have to grow into the role, right? Raheem made some critical errors last year. He really did. He did not address issues in a timely manner. He definitely didn't call the damn timeout. And he's definitely got to work at his bedside manner when it comes to interviews and put that ego in his pocket. But that doesn't mean that greatness is not within him, right? Ultimately, What's going to happen? I don't know. I believe in Raheem. I do. I believe in Raheem. Mike Tomlin believes in Raheem. And Mike Tomlin is a pretty damn good coach and a pretty damn good evaluator of talent. So will it matter ultimately? I don't know, Mark. You know, I could believe in all these guys and they could still fail. But go ahead.
Or what?
Or they could be great. Like, you don't know.
Absolutely.
They could be great. It could work out. You know, look it. If Franco Harris doesn't make that catch in 75 called the Immaculate Reception, and they didn't have replay back then, and there are a lot of people who swear that ball hit the ground. Okay? Who swear. Now, again, I was 5 years old, 6, 7 when it happened. I couldn't tell you. They didn't have the replay. They didn't have the technology back then that they do now. Right? And a lot of times they don't show it because why spit on somebody's great moment? But what if he doesn't catch that? What if he doesn't? Do the Steelers then go on to become the juggernaut that they were? Do they go on to become the powerhouse, right? Or the dynasty that they were, right? If Joe Montana does not make that pass to Dwight in the end zone and it's labeled the catch, do the 49ers then go on to become the dynasty that they were? It's a game of inches. And so look it. This Falcons team could go on to be great. Penix will be here hopefully for the next 10 years. I'm going to knock on wood, knock on Jesus first. Thank you, Lord. Please protect him. But I'm just saying, like, we don't know, right? I feel like Al Pacino. The inches are all around us, right? It's a game of inches. And it's the guy that's willing to die that's going to win that fight. Now, I can't make you do it, okay? And either we win as a team or we will die as individuals. Anyway, bottom line, we'll see. We'll see. Like, you know, it could be total chaos. It could be a disaster. But Mark, what if it isn't? What if it works out? What if we make one of the greatest trades ever and it serves us well? Because you know what? In all of the chaos and all of the mayhem, you know what's lost? You know what's lost on everybody?
I know you're going to say it.
I'm going to say it because it's true. We would not have Penix if it were not for Kirk Cousins.
And that's a whole conversation that I'm glad I can have on this platform. Because, you know, I haven't been outside as much. But we need to slow down on Michael Penix, y'all. Come on now.
Oh, God. Come on. You were not going to do that on it. Oh, no, Mark. You're not going to do that.
You need to slow down.
You're not going to be like, slow down. We don't know what the kid's going to be. He hasn't. He didn't play anybody.
No. I like Penix. I like the pick. I like what I said when we drafted Penix. I like the player. I hate the pick. I like Michael Penix. I like where he's at, the pieces around him. But that doesn't guarantee that he can overcome a lot of BS, is all I'm saying. And we need to slow down as if, like, he's just in the perfect system. He has the perfect offensive coordinator. Like you said, we had to let it play out. Like, and I love the idea that we have a young quarterback. And let's be honest, I love the fact we have a young black quarterback on a rookie contract. But that doesn't mean automatically that it works, because if that's how it happened, then Cleveland would go. Tennessee would go on and submit their pick. Cleveland would go on and submit their pick. Like the things have to play out. So I think that in my opinion is probably what got Terry and Raheem in extra years, the fact that you had Penix on the roster. But I'm not sold that he's the guy. Like, now, do I want him to be the guy?
Penix is the guy or Raheem?
Both. I'm not sold. Can they be there? Absolutely. Why not? But can we see it first, please? I mean, we just saw with C.J. Stroud. Oh, my God, C.J. Stroud is amazing. And then he started to fall off a little bit. You know, so – and then we're forgetting this is his sophomore year. So we're all going to forget about the sophomore slump. You know, and then you have all this drama, all this pressure. Now he has all this pressure because now it's like, oh, yeah, Michael Penix is our guy. And meanwhile, you got Kirk Cousins with a bag of money sitting behind him. So it's like there's just so many factors that I just want to slow Falcons fans down. I think there's nothing wrong with being excited. But my God, are we going to act like he is a guarantee because of a throw? He throws 30 yards across the field that zips through 3 or 4 players. Everyone's like, oh, my God, his arm talent. But we're going to forget all the passes he threw 20 yards above the wide receiver's head. You know, so again, I'm rooting for Penix, but I'm not going to crown him. I don't think that's fair to him, you know, to go on and crown him as the savior just because basically Kirk Cousins didn't work out. Because if Kirk Cousins worked out, Penix would still be on the bench. Like, to me, it's just so many levels to this, and I'm glad you just said that because I knew that a lot of Falcons fans are going to go there. Well, at least we got Penix. We don't know nothing yet. Let it play out. Let's see him play a game where teams are fully prepared for him, and it's not the end of the season where you got, you know, it is what it is. Like, let's just, you know, let's give this whole thing some time. As far as Terry, we've given it time. We've seen what he's been able to produce. As far as Raheem, you know, we've seen what he's been able to produce. You know, those things go against Michael Penix and his trajectory. You know, if Michael Penix had Andy Reid as his coach, then yes, I would say yes, he's that guy. But he had Zach Robinson as his offensive coordinator. Let's slow down a little bit. Is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Look, that's fair. That is a fair statement. That is a fair assessment. You will not get any pushback from me regarding that because it is fair. But just me, I'd like to think that when it comes to my Falcons, I'm an optimist. Yeah, sometimes you got to be pragmatic. I get that. I do. But
you know, a little bit.
But it's kind of hard not to get excited about Penix, man. It's hard not to get excited about it. You know what I mean? Because with that arm and with the talent that we have in place, and make no mistake about it, say what you want to about Terry Fontenot, he has built with his bare hands an offense that can be unstoppable in the right set of circumstances. Okay, that offense that we have is good enough to win a Super Bowl. That defense, yeah. But that offense that we have right now, with Penix in place, and with Zach Robinson, hopefully with the year under, they are good enough to win a Super Bowl. Doesn't mean they will. Just not. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying the Falcons. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they are good enough.
Next season,
they can put up 28 points on anybody. They can put up 30 points on anybody. Next season. Now, again, you got to look at the defense, right? Mm-hmm. But that offense, I fully expect this Falcons offense, if all things go well, knock on Jesus, thank you, Lord, and our guys stay healthy, they can put up 28 to 30 points on anybody.
T-Wil, you said that last year. Last year you said this was the best.
I did, but why did I say that? Because that's what Kirk did the year before. Who knew Kirk was gonna? Who knew? Look, the whole thing went to you know what when Kirk's elbow got hurt.
But that's football. Is what I'm saying.
It is right. And the first thing I said, Mark, was all things being equal, if we remain healthy, and that's with any team, right? If you take Saquon Barkley off the Eagles, they're a different team. They're a totally different team. They probably still make the playoffs, but they're a different team, right? They are a totally different team. So that's with any good team. If you take Jaden Daniels off of Washington, they're a different team. That's any different team. That's any team with a player of a certain standard, right? But all I'm saying is this offense with Michael Penix in place, who can make every throw on the field and get it when it needs to be there, they are dangerous. Look at the weapons that we have. Mooney was hurt towards the end of the year, but you got Draco, you got Mooney, you got Kyle, you got Bijan, you got Tyler right now, you got Ray. You have an assortment of weapons. If you can maximize their usage and put guys where they need to be, you can score 28 to 34 points. Look at the points the Falcons scored when Penix was in there. It was a track meet, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. This offense can score on anybody. This offense is good enough. The defense needs work. But I believe, number one, Jimmy Lake is not there. And I don't know why Raheem did that. I don't know. I don't know, because if it was me, by the time we got to game 7, Jimmy Lake and I, at game 7, we're what, 6-3, 6-4?
Game 7, yeah, about like 5-2.
6-5, maybe. No, wait. I'm sorry. Game 7, we're maybe game 10. But a conversation would be had sooner, and I would have made adjustments sooner.
But T-Wil, we had that conversation.
We did.
You may not remember it.
We did.
When we had the conversation. I said, bro, Jimmy Lake ain't it. I don't know what's going on.
I think it was a Friday night. It was a Friday night, and it was a show you were doing.
Yeah, it definitely was a Friday night. And I was sitting in the same spot, a spot I don't normally sit in. We only turn the office into a guest room now. So, now I got this condo place now. But now, that's just how I feel about this team. I try to look at everything, trying to take emotion out of it.
Yeah.
And man, that's just how I look at our current roster. Yeah, the offense has the pieces, but there's guys that's trying to stop us every week. It's not just like, we got pieces, we just do whatever we want. No, teams are going to double down on Drake next season. They're going to take away that read. They're probably going to make Penix beat us deep. He's capable. But all right, now do we have the speed to do that?
You got Rondell. I'm sorry, you got Mooney.
Yeah, you got Mooney.
Who's always open. Okay, very fast. And you got Ray, and you got Kyle, and you got we have the weapons. We are not one-dimensional when it comes to, and we can run the rock. We can also run the ball. So if you want to bring up 9 in the box, we're gonna go over the top. We're gonna hit you in the head. You want to play 2 back guys? We'll run the ball. Fine. Either way, whatever you want to do, we can counter. We have the personnel to counter whatever you want. What we have to do is, as far as our run game, we have to introduce concepts other than outside stretch. That I agree. We got to introduce other running concepts besides inside stretch. That's one thing we have to do. But aside from that, we are okay. We got to do some housekeeping. Let's see. Michael says, fully believe in Terry. Michael says, we got signings at every position, what we drafted. Michael says, you bring in new coaches and schemes that Terry didn't hire or approve of. He didn't have full authority then. Facts, Terry is on the hot seat. Millie Mills says, what's up, fellas? What up, Millie Mills? Hell yeah. Bye, Kirk. Bye, TA. Trade Tyler and draft Jukins. I'm all for it. We trading Tyler eventually because we got Jace. He is a mini Bijan that has breakaway speed. Wallace Smith, what's good, fam? What's good, Wallace? How you doing, man? Wallace, you still eating those Snicker ice creams? I know I love them, man. I know that's your thing. GSGB, T-Wil, you showing your age. Laugh out loud. I was born in 82. Hell yeah, I'm old as hell, man. I'm old as hell. Drake says, is Drake worth 30 million, and why is he 30 million wide receiver 1 or 28 million wide receiver? He's worth whatever the market says he's worth, man. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Whatever the market will bear, that's what he's going to get. And you better believe he's going to get it, because as far as I'm concerned, he's worth it. Drake is the kind of guy that's going to go up and snatch a ball from somebody else. You know, any receiver can be fast. Any receiver can be can run routes. But at the end of the day, when it's fourth and whatever, can you go up and take it from a guy? And that's Drake. So, yeah, I think Drake's definitely worth that. I think he's definitely worth it.
Yeah,
but,
I think coming into last season, it was questionable. But I think he proved it last season.
Oh, yeah.
Pound for pound, he's going to be worth whatever you got to pay him because, like you say, he does a little bit of everything. So, yeah, he's definitely worth whatever, like you said, the market is.
Yeah. The reason I'm so excited about Penix is because he's shown, to be an NFL quarterback and to be clutch in certain moments, you got to have some I don't give a you-know-what in you. It's fourth and the season is on the line. We're up in Washington. That crowd is going crazy. He drops back and throws a seed to Kyle Pitts, puts it only where Kyle can get it, zip, past the defender. Kyle goes down, catches it. You can't teach that. Either you have that in you or you don't. There are a lot of guys that I played with that the moment would be too big for them because they'd be thinking and looking and whatever, and nothing phases Penix. That didn't phase him. That throw that he made against Carolina to Draco, phenomenal. Phenomenal. I mean, zip, baby. Zip. And he's in so again, that excites me because that's an element that, if I'm being honest, we haven't had in a while. You know what I mean? Matt Ryan was a great quarterback. I don't think he possessed the arm that Michael Penix had.
Who? You said Matt Ryan?
Matt Ryan was a great quarterback, but I don't think he possessed the arm that Michael Penix had. Michael Vick possessed an arm. Michael Vick was not the most accurate. So now we got a guy. Yeah. Michael Vick definitely possessed the arm, but he wasn't accurate. Right? So now we got a guy who's accurate and deadly with it and can throw it anywhere on the field. And we got guys who can go and get it. So if we are smart and we can hold teams to 20 points, we should be able to win the majority of our games because we're going to score at least 28. Doesn't matter what defense you're in. So, I'm excited about it. Now, that doesn't mean we'll win the Super Bowl, but I think we can get into the playoffs and win a game or two. Now, again, a lot has to happen. But, we'll see. Even with all of this madness going on with Kirk, right? I still say we're going to be good next year. Because if you look at it, what Terry has done is Terry has basically replaced the positions with competent people. They may not be world beaters, but they're competent for the system that we run.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Why would you go and get a Ferrari if you're only going to drive in a suburb? Like you'll never get to air it out. You're never going to get on the highway, right? So why get it? Why not just go and get a regular car, right? Why go and get a Ferrari? It's the Ferrari's going to be pissed. What do you mean I can't go 80 miles an hour? What are you saying? You're going to be frustrated, right? So I'm saying we got guys that fit within our system and our system of defense that we're going to run. We got guys that have worked with Raheem, i.e. Leonard Floyd, i.e. Jordan Fuller. We're getting guys that can understand what we're trying to do, right? We're getting guys that fit our scheme, which Jimmy Lake apparently never discovered. So, shout out to you, Jimmy, wherever you are.
It's stuff like that definitely worries me. Like, how do y'all allow it to happen the whole season? Like, how is that even possible?
That's a good point. But really, it was half the season, right? Because 6-3, you're at 9 games. You got 8 left. So up until game 9, for whatever you want to call it, it was working because we were winning. It only became a problem when we started losing, right? Because up to that point, and I will give you this credit, Marq, you called it. Because we were in the midst of a winning streak when you were like, I don't know about this defense. I don't know that this is sustainable. And that ended up being true. So I will give you that. But all of this started when Kirk got hurt. If Kirko doesn't get hurt, we're probably still swag surfing.
Right. Which
He's
is like
still doing the
I don't know how I feel
tapes.
about that. Like, I don't know how I feel. And I think that was always the thing with the Kirk Cousins signing combined with the Penix draft pick, where it was like, man, you have to be wrong at one of them to be right. And I think that's what's kind of happened. We were wrong with Kirk. Now we're hoping that he's right with Penix. And
See,
now
I don't look at it that way. I mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, but I am, man, that's besides the point. I think regardless, I am excited though for Penix, this offense. You know, how could you not be? I mean, Bijan proved to be one of the better offensive players in the league. Drake showing that, you know, he's that guy. Like, if Kyle Pitts can turn into something, just give us something. Be some type of threat. Like you said, that 4th and 15, he makes that game, the catch to tie it. Man, like, how does that not make you excited for a whole season of Penix and Pitts? So I'm there with you. Like, I am there with you. But then it all comes full circle right back to that defense and how that's being managed. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. It is. Okay. I will say at the least, it is intimidating.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
It is an intimidating thought. But I do think that the Falcons have the personnel and the building to turn this around. Now, this is what I will say. I don't think that the plan was ever to keep Kirk Cousins here for 4 years. You guaranteed him $100 million. I think the plan was for him to come in and do great the first 2 years, right? And if you get a Super Bowl out of it, great. If you don't, in year 3, you cut him. Unless you get a Super Bowl and Kirk wins the MVP, and then you kind of have to keep him. But if you did, guess what? You won the Super Bowl, Kirk's the MVP. Okay, you can keep him for another year. It justifies that. But worst case scenario, I think the plan was you come in, you let the kids sit for 2 years and learn at the feet of Kirk Cousins, right? And then at the end of that 2-year period, you cut him and you let the kid take over. It's a transition. It's great. He's ready. Bob's your uncle. Let's go. I think that was the plan. I think the issue came into play. And there's an old saying, and you guys know I'm old, so you're going to hear it. It's from the drug game. Don't get high off your own supply. Don't get high off your own supply. I'm going to say it one more time. Don't get high off your own supply. What do you mean, T-Will? Well, what I mean is don't believe your own hype. Right? I think when Kirk got hurt, well, goddamn it, I'm Kirk. No. Let me take a step back. I think Kirk's ego was hurt the day they drafted Michael Penix. And he started thinking to himself, they're wrong. I can't believe they did this. Do they know who I am? I'm Kirk Cousins. Blah, 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 blah. Which is why you have to be careful. Now, again, I can't confirm any of this. This is all just my thoughts. What happened?
No, you were correct.
I can't confirm any of this. I'm just reading the tea leaves, okay? I think when we drafted Michael Penix, Kirk was like, who the bleep do they think they are? I'm Kirk mother freaking Cousins. I'm 3,800. I did this. I'm Kirk. How dare they? How dare they? And he went about it with the wrong. Look, it was 6-3. Everything was great, right? Everything was great. But as we know, in life be life. And as we know, in life, there are things, there's adversity that comes upon us, right? Now, if he'd have just been honest and said, look, I'm really hurt. And again, I don't know the conversations that were had in the background, right? I don't know the conversations between Coach Rob and Kirk, right? But if he'd have said to Rob, look, I'm really hurt. I can't play. I'm hurting the teams. Let's let the young guy play. Maybe 2 games before. You know what I mean? Then I think the response would be a little different, right? Because
yeah.
I honestly think we would have had a greater chance to win those games, and we're probably in a better position to get into the playoffs. And I think if we get into the playoffs last year, maybe we look at this differently. Because if we get into the playoffs, we're essentially Washington, and we would essentially place that Detroit team whose defense was just devastated by injury. Mm-hmm. So what if we make the NFC Championship last year? The perception of this Falcons team is totally different. The perception of signing Kirk Cousins is totally different, right? I really think Kirk got pissed off from the jump, and I think it impacted his decision when it comes to, well, I can play, because now he's justifying to himself, well, I'm Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? If I go out now at 6-3, then I prove them right. I can't do that. So, just give me 12 million Tylenol and I can go out and play. And he really couldn't. And he was hurt. He truly was hurt.
It was so obvious.
Right? So then, right? So it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy that comes true before your eyes of things that you don't want to happen, but it happens, right? So you get hurt. You try and play through it. You try, but you just can't because you can't make the throw because you're hurt. But you don't want to put it out there because you don't want them to be right for drafting Michael Penix. There's this internal dialogue, this internal fight that you're having with yourself. Well, I don't want it to be right. So, and look I've done that. Okay. My wife and I have argued about things, and God damn it, I did not want her to be right. And I would go to the ends of the earth to not admit it to her. Okay. I can admit this. I went in to pay for registration for a car, and she told me it was going to be a certain amount. And I argued her to the hill that it was not. Okay. Mm-hmm. God damn it. When I went in there, first thing the lady says, this going to be that. I was so mad. And I have still not told her to this day. I've not told her that she was right. I've lied. I've lied to her face because my ego, my God-forsaken ego, would just not let me tell her that she was right. Okay? So we all do this. Male and female, we all, especially with your spouses, we all do this. Okay? But I think Kirk in the moment was like, I cannot let these MFers be right. So I'm going to continue to go out here and suck ass until they pull me out, right? And then they pull him out, and he's on the sideline in Washington with his helmet on, looking desperate, like an 8-year-old. Put me in, coach. Please put me in. Come on. Just come on, coach. Put me in. But it's his ego. Because, again, don't get high off your own supply. Look, we all have talents, but things in life happen. You have to have a certain amount of humility. Don't get high off your own supply, Kirk. But he did, and his ego, and sometimes your ego will make you do things, right? Sometimes when you get embarrassed, and honestly, I think Kirk was embarrassed. If we look at the catalyst for all of this behavior, at the end of the day, I think Kirk was embarrassed. Because
and I'm glad you said that, because I don't know how this keeps getting overlooked in our community. It was a joint venture. It was the ego of him, Terry, and Ra. That was the baddest combination possible. and okay. That's what, okay. Again, that's why we didn't take him out as early as we did. That's why Jimmy Lake was on the sideline as long as he was. That's why Terry keeps trying to draft all these people and do all these things, thinking he's just, again, I just think, first of all, these guys have to have ego and pride to get to their positions.
That's true.
There has to be a certain level of narcissism in them to get to these extremely high levels.
But you could say that for anybody, right? You could say that for anyone. Yeah,
you can. But that's what I'm saying with the whole Kirk situation. It's like Kirk this and Kirk that, but it's like it's a joint thing. He's not on an island by himself.
I'll give you that. I'll give you Raheem. I'm not convinced that Terry necessarily has the ego that Raheem has.
Well,
Raheem has a big ego. I'll give you that.
But then again, I just feel like it has to be there, right? Because again, he's a general manager.
Yeah.
In the Atlanta Falcons, he's a first black GM in a black city. You know, this is he got promoted from New Orleans to Atlanta, so it's like your old employers are watching you. There's so much going on, and I think when Raheem Morrison didn't call that timeout against Washington, that showed you what type of coach we were dealing with, and he was letting the ego and letting the moment get ahead of himself. You thought you were so dang smart, and you just had so much confidence in your beliefs that you let all that time run off. And guess what? He was actually kind of right.
He was.
But the kick, it was short. Like it was short at 5 yards.
If Koo had been healthy.
No, but remember, it wasn't Koo.
No. I know that. But I'm saying if Koo had been healthy, then he would have been right? Because what he's thinking is, if I call timeout, A, that's going to give the defense a chance to rest, and B, it's going to give them a chance to put together a play, and I got a rookie in there, right? Whereas now, these guys are tired. They got to stay on the field. This gives us the best chance. That's what he's thinking, because I will agree with you. He does come off as I'm the smartest guy in the room. The problem is, regardless of all of that, 15 seconds is 15 seconds.
Right.
At this point, it doesn't matter what defense they run. Time is precious. So if you call the time out there, we have time. And what you say is, look, if it's not there, throw it away. You cannot take a sack. You take the timeout. Look, you cannot take a sack. Whatever you do, you cannot take a sack, right? But you got to call the timeout, because it would have given you time, because the guy that's kicking only has a range of about 45 yards. You got to call the timeout, right?
Yeah,
where I agree with you is his defense of it to the masses, because that defense came off like I'm the smartest guy in the room and you guys don't know what you're talking about. And even though you may feel that way, right, you cannot disseminate that message. You cannot put that out there in the world, because now you've made enemies of these people. And I think the worst thing that he could have done was to go on 92-9 the game. And when what's-his-name said to him, hey, I'm a lifelong fan. I want to be with you. What would you say to the fans who've lost belief, who want to believe in you? That was a golden opportunity for Raheem to say, you know what? I can understand that. I can understand. But look here, we both were here in 2016. We're trying to get through it together. Yeah, I probably should have called the timeout. You're right. And I'm going to give you my level best that will never happen again. This is what I was thinking. Okay. And right or wrong, it wasn't the right decision. If he'd have done that, most of those folks would have come back to Raheem with open arms, but he didn't. He doubled down on you're living in the past. That was the worst. And that was where his ego came into play. And I hope that he learned his lesson from that, right? Because every time you're in the media, that's an opportunity to either help your image or hurt it. And he hurt it that day. And I'll give you that. But if you look at what he was thinking, I get it. It's just, unfortunately, 15 seconds is 15 seconds, right? Like if you got a minute and a half there, I can understand you not calling the timeout. You had exactly 40 seconds when 42 whatever seconds when he caught that ball. It took you 16 to get back. You lost 16 seconds. You just can't have that. I don't give a damn what you got to call timeout there. And he didn't. And it is what it is. So I will agree. Raheem does have a bit of an ego. But what the other thing that Raheem has is number one, an astute understanding of defenses. Now, you didn't see that last year because Jimmy was running the defense. But Raheem has studied under Monty Kiffin, some of the best defenders in the history of defense in the NFL. I believe he studied under Jim Johnson. Like he's been at the feet of a lot of great offensive and defensive coaches, a lot. So he knows a lot about football. And I think he should have stepped in with Jimmy Lake earlier. And I think hopefully what he will learn is we can be friends, but at the end of the day, the business is the business. And if you're not getting it done, you're not getting it done. We got to address these issues a lot quicker. right?
And I think that's my thing. And again, I'm glad you said what you said, because I feel like we're allowing Jimmy Lake to be the fall guy and we're allowing Kirk Cousins to be the fall guy, when really it's right there in our face is Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris. Now
they bear some responsibility. I'll give you that.
Like
they do bear some responsibility.
Like I feel like, again, going into this offseason and where we're at currently, you know, we're letting these guys be the fall guy, and I just don't like it. You know, then you see Grady out there in Chicago just cheesing, just looking so happy just to be out of the mess. Now, granted, I don't think he was, you know, I don't think he had anything ill will towards Atlanta, but I think he knows, all right, like, I don't have to be there. Like, I don't have to be under this management. And that's from Terry to Raheem. And I think that's what Kirk Cousins is at. It just as a professional athlete, you're just like, yo, the way y'all are managing this is hard to get behind, because y'all acting like y'all done something. And we've had, 8 losing seasons in a row? Terry Fontenot has yet to have a winning season. You know, he has yet to put together a good defense. And I think that's when you talk about Kirk Cousins' ego being hurt, I would be hurt too, because it's like, y'all don't sign me up to be y'all's QB1. Let's head into this draft and let's use that resource to get better as a team. Y'all already thinking about the future? How y'all thinking about the future? Y'all ain't even won yet. How y'all already thinking about year 2 and year 3 of my contract? I ain't even took one snap. So it's just like from the jump, a month after signing up with the Atlanta Falcons, I think he was starting to see, all right, this place is managed kind of odd. And I just think it played out like that. And I think it all comes down to this. Kirk Cousins was playing bad, bro. I don't care if he's injured or not. He should have been taken out in the middle of some of those games.
Mm-hmm. Specifically that Chargers game, when he threw that interception in the end zone, it was like, I just have to throw here. No, you don't. You can throw it away, and we can kick a field goal in this time, right? You don't have to. You don't have to.
Throw it right there.
You don't have to throw it, Kirk. No, I gotta throw. So whatever, man. Look it. Hey, man. Hey, whatever. It is what it is, man. Good discussion.
It's a mess. It's a mess, T-Wil. Well, it's a mess.
You know what? I tell you what, Mark. If you're willing, right? If you're willing, maybe you can come back next Thursday and we can continue this conversation. Because I don't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say the good thing is, man, by next week we should have some more news. You know, some more signings, some more activity.
Yeah.
So I'll let her have this conversation. You already know, man. Well, you may not know because you don't know me that well. I'm a very optimistic person, man. I'm probably too optimistic. My optimism has gotten me in trouble. So that's why I don't bring that energy to the Atlanta Falcons, because I'm like, nope.
All right. Well, look, man. Let's do this. Can we come back next Thursday and talk about it?
Hey, let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Let's come back next Thursday and talk about it. Hey, man, tell these folks where they can find you.
And y'all can find me at Marq Chaney. Y'all can find me here next week, it looks like, with T-Wil talking Falcons football, maybe some Hawks. But yeah. I'm planning on coming outside. You know, I think the big thing for me, especially if anyone's kept up with my content, is, man, like, I'm just not with being overly optimistic with this team. So, like, that makes me not want to come out. I don't want to come out like negative. And,
I get it.
You know, so I'm gonna try to come back outside, this summer. So y'all be tuned in to the Marq Chaney channel. Definitely want to break down our draft picks. Hopefully we bring in the Georgia boy. Hopefully. So look forward to like I said, some breakdowns, some 4-minute drills, some sipping scouts, and just some brutally honest takes.
Yeah.
You hear
brutally honest. I'll give you that. I will give you that. You are brutally honest. Oh, man.
But T-Wil, man, appreciate you, man. They definitely always love talking with you, man. Like, hey, you should be extremely proud, man. It's been – because you came outside about this time last year, didn't you? Or was it before?
About February. Yeah,
yep,
about February.
Yep. So man, it's so dope to see you, you know, chipping away, and you know your channel's growing, and I definitely feel like, man, you definitely one of the better hosts in our community. So definitely thank you for having me, man.
Hey man, I humbly appreciate that. I thank you. I try, man. You know what I mean. But that is high praise coming from one Marq Chaney, who is very astute as far as football is concerned. Very sharp mind, and someone I happen to have a lot of respect for. And you're welcome on my channel anytime, man. So just know that. Hey brother, you welcome on my channel anytime. To those in the chat, thank you guys. You could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to be with us. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Appreciate that. We do this for you and with you and because of you, because we couldn't do it without you. I want to thank God. Thank you, Jesus, for waking me up today. I appreciate it. And last but not least, I want to thank Mr. Jack Spade and Eric Parker for giving me my opportunity in this business. And I want to thank Mr. Marq Chaney for coming on the channel today, man. As always, great show. Appreciate your energy. Appreciate your honesty. And looking forward to seeing you next Thursday, man. To everyone else, rise up and have an amazing Thursday. I will see you guys tomorrow morning with myself and Debo Vibes as we get into all things ATL sports and a little R&B as well. Good night. Good day, everybody. Thank you for coming out.